Grab your coffee, sit back and relax, and get ready to type in the comments how disappointed you are in me for making this video, because I think there's a lot of you that aren't gonna like what I'm gonna say. I've been backpacking now for over 10 years, and while some of you have been backpacking your entire life, somebody from Wisconsin, that's a pretty good amount of time. And in that time, I've used an enormous amount of gear, probably more than pretty much every person watching, because my job has been to test gear. And so I get lots of stuff sent to me all the time. And in this video, we're gonna be talking about some of the things that I do sometimes take backpacking, but you know what? I definitely don't need to, and I could easily live without. So hopefully this is gonna help you in your gear purchasing endeavors, so that you realize that this may be some of the stuff that could probably be on the last of the gear that you'll probably need to buy for your backpacking trips, and you could just go ahead and spend that money on other things that you actually need, like, I don't know, a backpack. Now, before you come screaming and yelling at me and tell me how important a footprint is, it's really not that important. Now, when I first started backpacking, I bought a separate piece of Tyvek. It's the stuff that you put on the sides of houses as you're building them, and use that as a footprint because it was a lot cheaper than the footprints that come with the tents when you buy them, but it is a completely unnecessary piece of gear. Many websites will tell you that it is actually a very necessary piece of gear for a lot of reasons that they think are super important, but in all reality, tents are so robust nowadays, and tent manufacturers are so good at making tents that you really don't need a footprint to protect the bottom of your tent as much as you really think that you do. I have probably only had maybe 2 holes ever put into the bottom of my tent, like ever, and I've never ever had water really leak through the bottom of my tent, ever, because I buy good tents. And if you buy a good tent, you're not gonna need to buy that footprint. And also, tent manufacturers are selling these footprints at an astronomical price, sometimes $50 or over $100 separately, making you think it's something that you need, when in reality, you absolutely don't. Oh, you're gonna love this one. I think you're gonna love this one. All right, I can already hear you. You're like ready to type in the comments, Dan, that's all you've been talking about is air pumps for 3 years. How could you possibly say that you could live without an air pump? Well, it's honestly just an air pump, and people did backpack without air pumps for many, many years. So there's that. As a matter of fact, sleeping pad manufacturers, many of them, are giving you air pump sacks included with their sleeping pads to sort of be that inflatable air pump for you, just so that you don't have to blow up that air pad with your breath and get all out of breath and winded at the end of the day. Not to mention that some of these pumps are getting really expensive. Like the one that's the most popular right now, the FlexTail Tiny Pump, the FlexTail Zero Pump is like $50 right now. And while that is a really cool pump, and I love it and advocate for people to buy it, you can easily live without it on your gear list. Okay, on a more serious note, I wanna just say that what's been going on with hurricanes in the United States is incredibly traumatic. From the loss of life to the loss of homes and people being stranded. First off, I want to say to all my Christian brothers out there and sisters out there, please pray for this whole situation, that God will bring lots of protection and people will be able to be safe and be able to survive this whole situation and get out good on the other side. And secondly, I did find out recently about an app called Goes, and this is not sponsored at all. This is just me telling you information that is also going to be very helpful to you if you are in the path of this hurricane, or if you are going out anywhere that you're gonna need help potentially while you're out. First off, Goes provides medical information that can actually help you decide what is best for your situation. So if you get in trouble, you can actually click on the Goes call line and speak with a medical doctor almost absolutely instantly if you need help about whatever is happening. I already know what you're thinking. What if the cell service is out and you can't connect? Goes actually does work offline. While you still won't be able to connect to a medical doctor to speak with them, you can have access to a library of medical information that is built into the app that you can kind of click through and put in sort of your situation. It's sort of like having WebMD in your pocket, but much better. It's also a weather app that lets you know what you're gonna face when you're going outside and what to do about it. Basically, Goes is a resource for those that have no access to care to decide whether or not they should evacuate, whether they should seek medical attention based on the specific situation that they are in. And like I said, this is 100% not sponsored at all. I just found out about this and was excited about it. And they gave me a coupon code to give to you for free full use of the app for 3 months because of what's going on with these hurricanes. All you got to do is type in, when you purchase the app, Dan Becker Goes, and you'll get it for 3 months for free. You can cancel it after that if you want to. Doesn't matter to me at all, but it's their way of helping everything that's going on right now in any way they can, even if it is just an app on your phone that works even when you don't have any signal whatsoever. Now back to the video. When you buy a backpack from some of the biggest backpack manufacturers out there, Osprey, Deuter, Gregory, and others, they're more than likely going to have a little stowaway pocket or zippered pocket on the backpack that is going to have a pack cover on it. These backpacking manufacturers are selling you bells and whistles as sort of this add-on to something that you think you're going to need, but in reality, it's the last thing that you need. Very early on, I did backpack with a pack cover because they do work for the most part. They will keep the rain off of your backpack, but the whole back of the backpack is sort of exposed because it's this big hole behind the backpack and your back, and water can get inside of the pack cover, and it can be a detrimental situation if things are getting wet inside of your backpack. So the easiest thing to do is just to take a garbage bag or a trash compactor bag and put it inside of the backpack, and then put everything inside of that you don't want to get wet, so that way it stays waterproof. It's very simple and very easy, very cheap, and you don't need that pack cover. Yes, I get it. I'm the camp chair guy. Everybody loves to call me the camp chair guy. And while I do think that's true, I think it's very comfortable. I think it's very sort of necessary, I guess, at the end of the day for you to relax and just have a nice place to sit and sort of take the load off from the whole day of hiking. You don't need a camp chair. You could easily just use your backpack and a sit pad or a foam pad to be able to sit on as your seat. Not to mention that camp chairs, at least the ones that aren't super heavy and don't constantly break, are getting really outrageously expensive. As a matter of fact, this camp stool that we just recently talked about in a video costs over $80, upwards of $90 just to have a little stool to sit on. You can get a knockoff sit pad on Amazon for like $10 or $15. So there's always that. I'm gonna hear it from some people. I can already tell you. I already know I'm gonna hear from some people on this one. I do agree that it is nice to be able to kick off your shoes at the end of the day and sort of slip on those camp shoes, whether you got Crocs or something else. What are those?
They are my Crocs.
To be able to sort of walk around camp in, just to sort of air out the feet, okay? Because your dogs are barking.
But man, my dogs are barking.
But camp sandals are actually pretty heavy for what they are. I mean, they're probably gonna add at least an extra pound of weight to your backpack just to have those sandals there. Anyway, you do hear a lot about camp sandals and people that love them and wear them at camp. And it is tempting to feel like you're gonna need it, but you really don't. You can just, if you really want to, just sort of loosen up your shoes a whole lot so you can get some air in there, put them back on, and walk around camp that way, change your socks, whatever you gotta do, but it's not the end of the world to have just the shoes you hike in. All right, that's it. Do you agree with me? Could you live without those pieces of gear? Some of you are like, no, I need my chair. I need my camp sandals. As a matter of fact, I'm never blowing up another sleeping pad with my breath again. And if I do, I have to do that, I'm not going backpacking. And that is totally fine because I sort of kind of feel that way myself sometimes. But yeah, I still bring all that stuff anyway. But that's just stuff that you definitely don't need if you're going on your backpacking trip, if you're looking for gear, and if you're looking for things to buy, just buy the things you actually do need. And we'll see you on the next one. YouTube is a rabbit hole of information. So in order to solve that problem, I wrote a backpacking course where I took my 10 years of backpacking experience and the 400 YouTube videos that I filmed and condensed it down into just 18 videos and a few lessons for you to learn. All you have to do is go to my brand new website, danbeckeroutdoors.com, and look for the course.